Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Lindsay, and today we are going to be talking about my birth story with this little guy. He is 3 weeks old today, so I thought it'd be time to tell you guys about my birth story with him. He has the hiccups, and I think he just spit up on me, so don't mind if I have a spit up on my shirt. So before we begin, please hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a thumbs up. But let's get into my birth story. Okay, sorry, my light died, so I had to get a different light. But so to start off, I started feeling some consistent contractions. Well, not really consistent, more like painful contractions in the morning of the June 18th. And kind of like mid-morning, like 10, 11. So at noon, we decided to head up to the hospital, and on the way we got Chick-fil-A because I wanted my last meal to have lots of protein in it. And so we got Chick-fil-A, we ate that in the parking lot of the hospital because it was like right around the corner. And then we went in. I didn't know if they were going to keep me because my contractions weren't that consistent, but they were painful, and they did decide to keep me. So I labored for a little bit. When they checked me, I was still at a 2. The lady who checked me, actually, there's been like, I understand people's fingers and everything are different. Their thoughts and things are different when it comes to like checking people. But my doctor had told me that I was 2 centimeters and 60% effaced at my last appointment, and she said that I was like 1 centimeter and 50% effaced. She decided to like stay with what the doctor said, even though she felt like I wasn't as far along as the doctor did at my last appointment. So I labored for a while. My contractions were pretty inconsistent still, and since I was only 60% effaced, they decided to give me some Cytotec, which is a cervix ripener. And so they let me have those. It was like every 4 hours. They did it 2 times, I think, because I just wasn't progressing like they thought I would. And they decided to give me Pitocin, which I was kind of nervous about, even though I had Pitocin with my daughter. Having Pitocin, like, because they were going to give me more Pitocin than I had with my daughter. With my daughter, they just gave me like a tiny amount. And they upped my Pitocin by 2 every half hour, which with my daughter, I only had like a half Pitocin or 1 Pitocin. I don't know the units exactly, but I started out with 2 and I got all the way up to an 8, I think, of Pitocin. And when they checked me, I was at a 4. I don't remember how long it was after. It was like probably 2 or 3 hours after. I was feeling a lot of contractions and they were really painful. Pitocin contractions are no joke, you guys. So I told my nurse that I kind of wanted to get my epidural before I had my water broken, because with my daughter, they broke my water and my contractions went from 0 to 100 really quick. Got really painful. It was hard for me to stay still for the epidural, and so I decided that I wanted to have that. She's like, we could do it before your water is broken if you'd like, because the doctor really wanted to break my water. And I said, that's fine. I had a hard time last time. And so she decided to she advocated for me and told the doctor that I didn't really want my water broken without an epidural. So I labored for a little bit more because I wasn't quite ready to get an epidural. And then that's when they checked me and I was at a 4. I got my epidural and it hurt a lot more than it did last time. And I'm just wondering if it's because I was already in some major pain with my daughter with the contractions, because they were like every 30 seconds, really intense, and they went from 0 to 100 seriously in like 5 minutes. The shot to numb me was the worst part, and I did jump, and the nurse had to like grab me and hold me down because I jumped, which I wasn't trying to. I know you have to stay still, like it just happened. But they got me my epidural, and it was different than with my daughter. With Maddie, I couldn't feel anything. Like, I couldn't move my legs at all. I couldn't feel anything. I could feel like a little bit of pressure when it was time to push, but that's it. And with this epidural, I could feel a lot more, which I actually kind of liked better because I knew exactly when I needed to push and I could listen to my body a lot better. But they gave me like a button that I could press it and give myself a little more medicine. And they're like, don't worry, you're not going to overdose. And I laughed, and the anesthesiologist was just like, I don't know why it made me laugh, because I'm not worried about overdosing. Like, I obviously know they wouldn't let you overdose, but I know they probably have to tell everyone that. I pressed the button a couple times and I started to watch the monitor, and I remember like looking kind of that way at the monitor and watching it, and I could start to feel like when my contractions were ramping up, and I could feel it in like my hip bone felt like it was like, I don't know, I needed pressure on it. So I started putting pressure on it, and then I had Cody come over and put more pressure on it because I was just so uncomfortable. I needed more. I couldn't do it myself. So he came and put pressure on it, and I told my nurse, I said, I'm feeling a lot of pressure. And she's like, okay, let me check you. She checked me and I was at a 6. And this was like at 11. It was 10:55. She told me I was at a 6, and that Cody looked at me and he's like, honey, he's probably not gonna come today. He'll probably come on the 19th. And I'm like, I know, like, there's no way that I'm gonna give birth in the next hour if I'm at a 6. And then my contractions got really, really intense in the next 5 minutes, or less than 5 minutes. It was like 4 or 5 minutes. And I rolled over on the other side because it felt better to put my body pressure on that hip that was hurting so bad. And I looked at the nurse and I said, I have to poop. And she's like, what? And I said, I have to poop. And she's like, okay. And so the charge nurse had just come in at that moment to help out with getting the room ready for the baby. And she's like, I'll check her really quick. Like, she was just at a 6, so it probably won't be anything. She checked me and she's like, oh my goodness, you're at a 10. We're ready to push. This baby is coming right now. And so the doctor came, she like rushed in. I had one contraction I pushed through, and then I said, can I keep pushing if I feel like it? She's like, yeah, you're not having a contraction, but if you want to push, you can push. So I pushed, and in that push, like, he came out and he was born at 11:04. So within 9 minutes of being a 6, I had him and he was out, and I started crying. I cried before. Whenever they tell me that I'm ready to push, I start crying. I don't know why. It's just kind of an overwhelming moment. And he was born and they put him on my chest. I delivered the placenta, and the doctor's like, okay, perfect, good to go. No tearing, no nothing. And I was like, no tearing? Because with my daughter, I had a really, really bad tear that she had a hard time stitching up, and it ended up being a big ordeal where the stitch was too tight, so they had to loosen it, and that was awful because there was no anesthesia, and I seriously have never been in so much pain except for them like loosening my stitch. And so I didn't have any tearing, and yeah, that was it. Within I got to the hospital at like 1-ish, and within 10 hours he was born. And I was at a 3 or a 2 and 60% effaced when I got there, so I progressed pretty quickly, and he flew out once he was ready. But I am very grateful of how it went. I feel great. I felt great like the day after, like I could go run a marathon. My camera died, so it is a few days later. I am finishing this video up. I didn't have time to film for the last couple days, so I'm sorry that this video has taken so long. It was supposed to be up on Monday, so take that as you will. But yeah, I felt really, really great after my birth and everything. They took me to my postpartum room. Since he was born in the middle of the night, they could have let me go at like midnight the next night, but I decided to stay until the morning. And then we got our like little celebratory dinner. We got to choose what we got for dinner, and then they did his hearing test, his jaundice test, everything at 10 the next night. So that, because it's the 24-hour mark, they have to do all that. And I was really nervous he was going to have jaundice because Maddie did, and he didn't. His eyes were a little bit yellow like the day after we left the hospital, but when we went to the pediatrician, I told them I really, really wanted him to have his jaundice tested again, and they tested it and it was good to go. So they did all that. We stayed. Cody had to go to work at like 4 in the morning the next morning, like the morning that we were leaving the hospital. So he went to work, came back like at probably 8 or 9, and then they discharged me around 1 p.m. and then we hit the grocery store on the way home because we needed to get formula. So that is pretty much it. If you are curious on things that I am doing differently with this baby, please comment down below, because I will definitely do a video about that, because there is a lot of things differently that I did this time and am wanting to do different this time. Just, I think that there's always things that you're like changing your opinions on as things change and your babies get older and things. So let me know. I also want to do like a newborn essentials for this baby, because there's been a few things that we loved with Maddie that we haven't touched with Carter, and yeah, vice versa too. So yeah, I will probably be doing those and filming those as I can. It has been kind of hectic, like I said, to find time to film with 2 kids, but yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below before you leave, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.